In New York City, billionaire businessman Richard Coleman had everything a man could dream of: luxury, success, and influence. Yet inside his lavish Manhattan penthouse, silence ruled. His 8-year-old daughter, Emily, hadn't spoken a single word since her mother's death 2 years ago. The sound of her laughter had once filled their home. Now it was replaced by the quiet hum of loneliness. Richard had tried everything to bring her voice back. He hired over 100 doctors, speech therapists, and psychologists from across the world. Each promised results, but none succeeded. Emily would only draw pictures, beautiful yet haunting reflections of her sadness. Richard spent sleepless nights watching her, hoping she would say "Daddy" just once. His billion-dollar empire suddenly meant nothing when the one thing he truly needed couldn't be bought. Every corner of his home reminded him of his late wife and the little girl who used to chatter endlessly about stars and fairy tales. Now those stories lived only in her silence. Deep down, Richard feared that he might never hear his daughter speak again, and that thought broke him more than any business loss ever could. One chilly morning, Richard's car stopped at a red light near Central Park. Lost in thought, he barely noticed the man sweeping the street beside him. The cleaner, wearing a worn blue uniform and a cap tilted to one side, hummed a cheerful tune as he worked. His name tag read Sam. There was something gentle in the way he moved, unhurried, calm, almost peaceful. In the back seat, Emily watched him curiously through the tinted window. When Sam caught her gaze, he smiled and waved, then playfully twirled his broom like a dance partner. To Richard's astonishment, Emily's lips curved into a soft giggle, a sound he hadn't heard in 2 years. For a moment, time froze. That small sound filled the car like sunlight breaking through a storm. Richard turned to her, speechless, his heart pounding with hope. As the light turned green and the car moved on, Emily kept looking back, her eyes bright with life. That evening, Richard couldn't shake the image of the humble street cleaner who had done what doctors couldn't: make his daughter smile. Something about that man's kindness stirred something deep inside him, a feeling he hadn't known in years. Faith. The next morning, Richard returned to the same street, hoping to find the man who had made his daughter laugh. Sam was there, sweeping with his usual quiet rhythm, humming softly to himself. Richard stepped out of his car and approached him, thanking him for that fleeting moment of joy. After a brief conversation, he invited Sam to visit his home and meet Emily. Sam hesitated, unsure why a billionaire would need a street cleaner's help, but eventually agreed. When Sam arrived at the penthouse, he didn't bring medical charts or toys, just a small harmonica and a box of colorful chalk. He sat on the terrace floor and began drawing simple flowers, stars, and smiley faces, whistling a tune between strokes. Emily watched him with fascination, then slowly joined him, her small hands tracing over his drawings. Sam didn't speak much. He just smiled and let her express herself. Over the next few visits, their bond grew naturally. Emily began humming along to his harmonica, her laughter echoing through the halls once again. And one afternoon, as Sam finished playing a soft tune, Emily looked up and whispered, "Mama." Richard froze, tears spilling down his cheeks. The impossible had finally happened. Emily's recovery soon became the talk of the city. Reporters called it a miracle, but Richard knew it wasn't science or wealth that had healed his daughter. It was the warmth of a kind heart. He tried to reward Sam in every possible way, offering him a new house, money, even a position at his company. But Sam only smiled and said, "Just promise me you'll keep listening to her. Sometimes love fixes what medicine can't." Those simple words changed Richard more than any therapy session ever could. From that day on, he spent his mornings drawing with Emily on the terrace, and their evenings filled with harmonica tunes instead of silence. The mansion that once felt like a cage now echoed with laughter and music. Sam visited often, not as an employee, but as family. Richard realized that happiness wasn't measured in dollars or success, but in moments of love and understanding. For the first time in years, he felt peace. He had hired 100 doctors to bring back his daughter's voice, but it was a humble street cleaner who showed him the true power of compassion. And that, Richard knew, was the greatest miracle of all.